I want you to try something with me. It's a little experiment. Wherever you are right now, walking the dog, commuting, doing dishes, I want you to picture the night sky. Just, visualize it.
That endless inky black.
Right. The billions of stars. The sheer crushing scale of it all. And as you hold that image in your mind, listen for that tiny, quiet voice in the back of your head. It's almost a whisper, but it's stubborn, and it says, "We are not alone."
It's practically a default setting for the human brain, isn't it? You look at that scale, and the feeling is it's instantaneous. It feels intuitive, obvious even.
Exactly. It feels like common sense. But, and this is a huge but that we are going to wrestle with today, that feeling is exactly what we need to dismantle. We're doing a deep dive into a fascinating and honestly kind of jarring piece of work by Will Camden.
8 propaganda techniques to make us believe in aliens.
And I have to say, the source material is a bit of a bucket of ice water.
It really is. A reality check. Camden starts by just stripping away all the romance, the movies, the Reddit threads, and he hits us with a very, very blunt truth. He points out that despite decades of searching, there is zero hard evidence.
Zero, like absolute zero.
Absolute zero. We have no biological bodies. We have no recovered craft that has passed any kind of peer review or public scrutiny. No confirmed radio signals from an intelligent source. No archaeology. No artifacts on Earth or the Moon or Mars that actually survive scientific analysis.
And that's the paradox we're exploring. That's the central tension for this whole thing. On one hand, you have this massive gaping void of hard evidence.
Nothing.
And on the other hand, you have total, unwavering cultural certainty. If I ask a random person on the street, do aliens exist? They don't say maybe. They say, oh, definitely. The government knows.
Right. So the mission for this deep dive isn't to debate if aliens exist. I mean, maybe they do. I hope they do.
Me too.
But the question Camden asks is, how do we get from point A, which is nothing, to point B, which is absolute certainty?
It's a masterclass in persuasion. Camden calls it everyday persuasion. We aren't looking at little green men today. We are looking in the mirror. We're looking at how our own brains have been, well, hacked.
And we're breaking down the 8 specific techniques he identifies. These are the psychological gears, the rhetorical sleight of hand that turn "I want to believe" into "I know it's true."
So let's get into the machinery. Segment 1 is all about what he calls the illusion of logic. It's how we use the language of science and math to, trick ourselves. And the first technique is transfer.
Transfer is a classic propaganda tactic. You see it in advertising all the time, but it's just lethal in the alien debate. Transfer is when you take the authority, the prestige, and the trust you have in a respected field like science, capital S,
right,
and you quietly transfer that credibility to a claim that hasn't actually earned it.
So it's like borrowing a lab coat to sell snake oil?
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
Think about how almost every conversation or documentary about aliens starts. They don't start with aliens. They start with Neil deGrasse Tyson or Carl Sagan talk about the cosmos.
The universe is 13.8 billion years old. There are 2 trillion galaxies.
We are made of star stuff. All of that.
I love that stuff. It gives me goosebumps. It makes me feel small and, awe-inspired.
Exactly. Those are objectively true scientific facts. They trigger a feeling of scientific awe. But then, right on the heels of those facts, comes the kicker.
Therefore, aliens must be visiting us.
And there's the switch.
Ah, I see it. They use the facts to smuggle in the fiction.
Precisely. It's a total non sequitur. The fact that the universe is big, which is astronomy, does not prove that a spaceship crashed in Roswell, which is folklore. But because they're presented together, side by side, your brain just transfers the truth of the stars to the story of the aliens.
It legitimizes the unproven by parking it right next to the proven. That is incredibly sneaky. It makes the whole story feel like it has the weight of NASA behind it, even when it doesn't.
It does. And it sets the stage perfectly for the second technique, which is where things get even stickier. This is the appeal to probability.
This is the one I hear at every dinner party. It's the numbers game. Someone always says, come on, look at the math. With billions of stars, the odds of us being alone are statistically impossible.
It sounds so logical, doesn't it? It feels like math. But Camden argues that in this context, probability is being used as a rhetorical device, not a mathematical one. He calls it false inevitability.
Wait, break that down for me. Why isn't it good math? If the universe is infinite, isn't life inevitable?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Because that argument just glides right over the hard variables, the things we actually don't know. First, there's abiogenesis.
Life from non-life.
Right, life arising from non-living matter. We have a sample size of 1, Earth. We still don't know how likely that event is. It might be common, sure, but it might be a 1 in a trillion shot. We just don't know.
Okay, so maybe life itself is rarer than we think. We assume it's easy, but it might be essentially a miracle.
Exactly. But the bigger variable, the one that really dismantles the "it's impossible, we're alone" argument, is time. This is the one everyone forgets. The universe is ancient, 13 billion years. Civilizations might rise, last for maybe 10,000 years, and then they burn out, blow themselves up, die off.
So we could be like ships passing in the night.
Or ships passing in different centuries.
Mm.
Just because space is big doesn't mean the timing is right for an overlap. We might be the only ones awake in the house right now. So when people say it's impossible, they aren't doing calculus. They are expressing a feeling.
They're creating emotional certainty by just waving at a big number.
That's it. It's comforting, though. It makes the belief feel rational. I'm not crazy. I'm just looking at the odds.
Right, I'm being logical here.
It's logic as a costume. It protects the believer from feeling irrational.
Okay, so we've established our science arguments are often just emotional ones in disguise. But let's shift to the social side. Because we trust people, especially important people. Which brings us to technique number 3, testimonial.
In the UFO world, this is the holy grail, the whistleblower.
Oh, absolutely. It's always, former Air Force pilot says, or retired intelligence officer claims.
Notice the qualifiers there. Former, retired, ex-official.
What's that matter?
It matters for the psychology of it. When we see those titles, we stop analyzing what is being said, and we focus entirely on who is saying it. It's a cognitive shortcut. We think, well, that guy flew an F-18. If he says he saw a craft defy physics, he must be right.
But isn't that a fair assumption? I mean, pilots are trained observers. If anyone knows what's in the sky, it's them.
They are trained to fly planes and identify known threats. They aren't infallible perception machines. Pilots can be fooled by optical illusions, sensor glitches, parallax effects, all sorts of things. But the testimonial technique just bypasses that nuance. It shuts down your critical thinking because you respect the rank.
The source mentions Christopher Mellon specifically as a prime example of this.
Right, the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense,
Mm-hmm.
a very serious man, a suit. When he goes on a podcast and says, there is stuff out there, the credibility transfer is massive. But pay attention to how these figures speak. They rarely say, here's the metal alloy I took from the lab, let's test it.
No, it's always, I've seen reports I can't share, or it's classified, or my sources tell me.
That is the genius of it. It's the I've seen things I can't show you tactic. It asserts authority while conveniently excusing the lack of evidence. It converts no proof into secret proof.
That's a powerful distinction. We just assume the evidence exists. It's just behind a door we can't open. So we trust the guy standing in front of the door.
Exactly. And while we're listening to these authority figures, the culture is attacking us from the other side. This is technique number 4, repetition through entertainment, or what Camden calls normalization.
This is the water we swim in. I'm thinking E.T., Star Wars, X-Files, Independence Day, Arrival. I mean, the list is endless.
It's relentless. By the time you're 10 years old, you have seen thousands of depictions of aliens. Camden makes a brilliant point here. We didn't just hear about aliens, we were raised by them. They're part of our developmental folklore.
They really are just. They're furniture in our minds. You don't question a chair in the room, you just accept it.
Exactly. When fiction is that constant, the brain stops treating it as speculative. It becomes background reality. It's similar to how ghosts were perceived in, say, the Victorian era. If everyone tells ghost stories and every book has a ghost, you stop asking, do ghosts exist? And start asking, what do ghosts want?
We are primed to believe. We're conditioned to accept the premise before we even see a shred of proof.
And that conditioning is what prepares us for the next set of techniques. This is where we get into the architecture of mystery. We've left the logic and the people, and now we're looking at the evidence itself, or the lack of it. Technique number 5 is ambiguity as proof.
The blurry photo defense, the grainy video, the radar blip that looks like a tic-tac.
I mean, we've all seen them. Now, logically, if I show you a blurry photo of a bird, you don't say that's a pterodactyl, you say that's a bad photo of a bird.
But with UFOs, the blurriness is almost part of the authenticity. Like if it was too clear, we just call it CGI.
It is. Camden explains that ambiguity is actually better for belief than clarity. If I show you a crystal clear 4K video of a weather balloon, the mystery dies instantly. A clear explanation kills the story.
What a blurry blob.
A blurry blob is a Rorschach test. It's a blank canvas. Your brain, which is already primed by all those movies and transfer techniques, it just projects what it wants to see onto the blob. It's moving intelligently, you have no wings, it's rotating.
So uncertainty doesn't weaken the belief, it actually strengthens it because it invites our imagination to do the work.
Imagination fills the gaps faster and more vividly than reality ever could. That we don't know what it is,
Yeah.
statement from the Pentagon. That's not a dead end for believers. It's oxygen. It allows the belief to survive another day.
That is so true. The mystery is addictive. But speaking of things we can't see, let's talk about the silence. Because the universe is remarkably quiet. We haven't heard a peep.
And that brings us to technique number 8, the silence reframed.
Usually, silence is bad for a hypothesis, right? If I claim I have a drum set in my basement, but you live with me for 10 years and never hear a single drum.
I'm going to assume you're lying about the drums. But in the world of alien belief, culture has performed a complete reversal. The silence isn't proof of absence. It's reframed as suspense.
We just haven't found them yet.
That word "yet" is doing a lot of heavy lifting. The silence becomes anticipation. It turns waiting into proof that discovery is inevitable. They must be using technology we can't detect. They're waiting for us to be ready.
So it's a heads I win, tails you lose situation. If we find a signal, they exist. If we don't find a signal, they exist, but they're just hiding.
Which segues perfectly into technique number 6. Yeah. Conspiracy framing. This is the glue that holds all the other techniques together.
The idea that they are hiding the truth.
This is what logic experts call a self-sealing belief. It is totally immune to disproof.
How does that work? Walk us through the loop.
Okay, so you ask for evidence. I say, the government has it. You ask the government, and they say, no, we don't. And I say, see? They're covering it up.
You can't argue with that. Every denial is just more proof of the conspiracy.
Exactly. If a claim is debunked, that debunking is just disinformation. If a witness changes their story, oh, they were threatened. At this stage, belief no longer needs facts. It only needs suspicion. It turns the lack of evidence into this thrilling story of rebels versus the establishment.
It makes you feel special, too, like you're in the know. You've taken the red pill. You're smarter than the sheeple who believe the official story.
Absolutely. It confers status. It makes you the protagonist. But look, we've covered the logic traps, the social proof, the mystery.
Yeah.
But there's one more technique, and honestly, this is the one that just blew my mind. It's the aha moment of the whole piece.
I know exactly which one you're talking about. Technique number 7, myth replacement.
This changed how I view the entire phenomenon.
Camden argues that we shouldn't look at aliens as biological entities. We should look at them as modern angels.
It sounds abstract at first, but just break down the function of an angel in traditional stories. What do?
Well, they come from the heavens. They're higher beings. They watch us. They judge us. Sometimes they intervene to save us or punish us.
Now look at the modern alien mythos. They come from the sky. They possess higher intelligence. They abduct people to examine or test them. And in almost every sci-fi movie, why are they here?
Usually to save us from ourselves. Like in the day the Earth stood still, stopping us from using nukes. Or to judge us for destroying the planet.
Exactly. They are the superior other. Camden calls this cultural substitution. As traditional religious belief declined in the West, the human need for that higher power didn't just disappear. We just swapped the costume.
There's a quote in the source that I highlighted. Aliens are theology in a lab coat.
That is the key insight right there. We live in a technological age, not a mythological one. So our angels can't have wings and harps anymore. That feels silly to a modern person. They need spaceships. They need chrome. They can't come from heaven. They have to come from the Zeta Reticuli star system.
But the emotional function is identical.
Identical. We want to believe someone is watching. We want to believe there's an adult in the room who can stop us from blowing up the planet. Realizing this explains why the belief is so persistent despite the zero evidence. It's not a scientific hypothesis. It's a spiritual placeholder.
That is heavy. It implies that looking for aliens is actually just looking for a savior.
Or looking for meaning. If we are alone, then we're just an accident of chemistry on a lonely rock. But if they are out there, then we're part of a galactic community. We matter.
So what does this all mean for us? I feel like we've just dismantled the fun of a UFO documentary.
Not at all. I still love a good sci-fi movie. I still get chills when I look at the stars.
Yeah.
But the mission here is to become persuasion literate.
Persuasion literate. I like that.
Once you see these 8 techniques, transfer, appeal to probability, testimonial, normalization, ambiguity, all of them, you don't just see them in UFO threads on Reddit.
No, you start seeing them everywhere.
Everywhere. Think about the wellness industry.
Oh, totally. Transfer is huge there. This crystal vibrates at a quantum frequency.
Exactly. borrowing the authority of quantum physics to sell a rock. Or look at the crypto craze from a few years back. That was pure appeal to probability and conspiracy framing. The old banking system is lying to you. This is the future. Get in before you miss out.
It's the same toolkit.
It is.
Yeah.
Alien belief is just one of the cleanest, most successful examples of everyday persuasion in modern history. It shows how you can build a rock-solid reality out of nothing but hope, storytelling, and a few cognitive biases.
It's a reminder that our brains are pattern-seeking engines. And if there isn't a pattern, we will invent one.
We're desperate for connection, and we're terrified of the void.
Which leads us to the final thought I want to leave everyone with. It's a bit of a provocation from Will Camden to end this deep dive.
It's a somber note, but a necessary one.
If aliens are just a cultural construction, if they are just a castle we built on our own discomfort with being alone, what happens when we stop looking at the sky for answers?
That's the real scary question, isn't it? If we accept that the silence is just silence, then we are truly back to being alone.
And that means no one is coming to save us. No advanced fleet is going to land and fix climate change or stop a war.
We have to be the adults in the room. We have to solve our own problems without waiting for the theology in the lab coat to land.
It's a scary thought, but maybe an empowering one.
I think so. It puts the responsibility back where it belongs. On us.
Well, on that existential bombshell, we're going to wrap it up. I hope you never look at a former pilot interview or a blurry YouTube video the same way again.
Stay curious, but stay critical.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Catch you next time.